Morning, team. It is Sunday morning, and what a week we have had across the board, really. I've got a wire, loose wire, or a cable. Remember that? The cable, Savon's cable, dangling down in the background, a misdemeanor of chaos. Thought we'd do a week in review a little bit. But also a couple of conversations that I've had over the week with a couple of people at the gym, a couple of observations we've made this week. It's been a productive week, very productive week across the board, really. I've seen a lot of movement. And I guess up early. Good morning, Matt. Up early where I am, it is currently 11 a.m. So I've been up for quite some time. But Matt, I'm assuming you are US based. So welcome. Thanks for joining. Totally unscheduled. Well, it was scheduled, but it wasn't scheduled, if you know what I mean. Sort of like you've got a date night planned, but you haven't planned it. And then you decide, fuck it, we'll go for a pizza. Let's just go. So topics I want to cover, my list. I'll tell you what, I'll read out the list. And then we'll go from there, shall we? Although I just do want to muck about and talk about other stuff as well. So, two good friends of mine, Steve and Stephen, were at events yesterday in the UK, one in Sheffield and one just north in Glasgow, as they call it up there. So Scotland. Oh, yes. Buffalo, New York. Oh, where the buffalo wing I assume comes from. So we have buffalo wings and we go to like TGI Fridays and places like that. And I've grown up with buffalo wings, the whole Americana thing that grew up in the 90s, which is something I want to talk about later. I'll write that down just to remind myself. Americana. As a kid, you're like, buffalo wings. Well, one, buffaloes don't have wings. And two, is this buffalo meat? As a child, it was something that I contemplated deeply until I realized, one, it was chicken, and two, it was named after the place it came from. So on behalf of the world, thank you for your input into culinary dishes, Buffalo, New York. Congratulations. So Americana, we'll talk about later. Now, like I said, Steve and Stephen were at events yesterday. I want to bring up, let me bring up a couple of bits and bobs. If I can pause it, no longer available. Some of them are dated because they're from yesterday. So I'm hoping. No, they've all gone, have they? Yep, they've all gone. Right, okay, never mind. So CrossFit Sheffield, who also hosted Lucy Campbell. May forever she be representative of what we do. Originally extra parts of the chicken that no one wanted, fried them up and gave them other kitchen stuff. Amazing. Like, give me those scraps, yeah. Anyway, CrossFit Sheffield hosted an event yesterday that was incredible. Actually, if I bring up Steve's account, I'll tell you what. Hang on. Steve. I'm a snag. Let me just bring up, let's see if it'll work on Steve's stories. Hello? Not working. Not going to work. Never mind. I'll see if I can do it at some point. However, CrossFit Sheffield, really, really decent box in the middle of Sheffield, which is a northern city in England, famed for its steel, Sheffield steel. Now, the event looked incredible. Now, what stood out for me was and you all know what I mean, the aesthetics, the optics of the event. It looked raw. It looked old school. It looked throwdown, and it was amazing. Hence the name Winter Throwdown. but the actual event itself looked really cool, and it was a hark back. And these things are out there; they are in the gyms, they're going on. And what was really cool about it, Steve came on and chatted to me a little bit, and the gyms that take part are local gyms. They're local to the vicinity, but they send loads and loads of teams, and they support each other's like throwdowns. They're part of that local community that isn't just their one gym. And I thought that was pretty cool. And those kind of things are what we want to highlight, and they represent us. Those throwdowns, they are cool, and it's the essence of that open. It's the open essence is what we're after. And we've been talking about this all year since the games last year. We've been promoting on this channel and this show, talking about the open and how vital it is. Now, there's no point a month before the open trying to make a massive push for it. The open environment, that open philosophy, that starts after the games. It starts in August. It starts when the come down happens. It starts when the CrossFit season finishes. That is at the point where communication starts talking about the open, and we're preparing for it. Because what have we got? September, October, November, December, January, February, March. So 6.5 months, 7 months, you've got to prepare for the open. It will come around. It's an incredible test. Here we go. You've got plenty of time to prepare for it. Here's how we're going to do it. And as a gym, you talk about that and you build it up from there, rather than doing it a month before. We have got a habit, and I heard Chris Cooper talking about this at Two Brain at Coaches Congress, where I'll be this weekend coming up, or next weekend, sorry, in Berlin. I cannot wait. Never been to Berlin, shamefully, never been. So I can't wait to explore the city. I'm hoping to go for morning walks and evenings, go for a meal or somewhere nearby. But what an incredible city it looks. And I've heard amazing things. Chris Cooper was talking about it, about systems and about operations, and effectively we need to be sharper of what we're doing across the board. And communication is one of those things that we sort of rely last minute on communication. And I've seen it so many times before. You'll organize as a box, you'll organize an event, let's say April the 2nd. I'm not going to do 1st because it's April Fool's Day. April 2nd, and then mid-March, it will be, right, let's put a post on Facebook. Now, your average member is a parent. Your average member is like 42. Your average member is a mum of 2. That is the average CrossFitter globally, right? They are not going to be able, at the drop of a hat, to organize their life around an event. Same thing goes for the open. People need time to mentally and physically prepare. They need time to sort logistics with the family out. Not everyone is 24 and able to just turn up and do what they want. So the preparation for the open is paramount, and it's great to see. And I think the reason that this year's open is going so well, specifically in Europe with the turnout and the bookings and the numbers so far, is the fact that we've been preparing for it for months now. It's been in our vocabulary. The gyms have been just talking about it. The CrossFit UK, Gareth and Andy have been pushing this. When I was at Strength in Depth in, what would that have been? August, I think. I think that was August, maybe late July. Morning, Adam. Hope you're doing well. Thanks for joining us. They were talking about it at the affiliate summit there with the affiliate owners about the open, about how to prepare for it. And that was in August, September time. They've been doing such a good job at just reminding the affiliate owners that the open is that linchpin. It's the pivotal point of your year as an affiliate. Everything revolves around that. It doesn't revolve around the games. It doesn't revolve around Christmas. It doesn't revolve around Easter. It doesn't revolve around your local throwdown. It revolves around the open. That is the start of your year. That it's obvious to people that have done it. And yes, some people have veered away from that. That's cool. That's their own business. But like, here's the acid test, right? The gyms that have prioritized the open each year and have continued to do so and prepare for it, communicate around it, promote it, they're the gyms that are doing well. They're the gyms that are thriving. Look at Johnny's gym in Cardiff. Look at Jamie's gym up in Northumberland or Method. Like, look at these gyms that are absolutely buzzing and thriving. They're the ones that have been doing it. They're the ones that prioritize the open. They're the mega gyms. There's a reason they go hand in hand. The gyms that have flaked away from the open, the gyms that haven't prioritized it, don't communicate about it, wait last minute and go, well, no one signed up, so we're not going to do it. There's a reason that no one has signed up to do it at your gym, because you haven't promoted it and talked about it and bigged it up, and you're not participating. It needs to come from the top down. And we've talked about this so many times. And I think we're seeing that with UK, but also Europe wider. We're seeing that. We are seeing that buzz about the open because the affiliate owners and CrossFit Europe and Ollie Mainsbridge have been promoting it and talking about it. It's a no-brainer. It makes perfect sense. And as a gym owner, it's a perfect opportunity for you to be able to do it. You get to do a throwdown that you don't have to organize. You just have to operate and put on the workouts. Yes, there is organization, obviously, logistics on the day, but 99% of it is taken care of. You don't have to program. You don't have to sort out anything like that. You don't have to pre-prep. You just have to prep your gym like you would any other day. So, and I've been there, so I know what I'm talking about. Right. That was events. Training at the gym at the moment. So my training, normally I'd shy away from talking about my training because I just think I hate talking about myself, and I hate it when people talk about themselves and their training because it gives it some kind of like importance. But as a coach, I think it's important that people understand the logic of what you're doing. And I am a programmer through and through. I program for 11 people now, and all of them by two of them do the same sport, but so 10 different sports I program for, strength and conditioning and CrossFit. So I'm really enjoying it, and the fun that I have out of that. I try to test a lot of what I do for the future, but at the moment I'm on a power cycle. So I am constantly fatigued from the amount of explosive, dynamic, and power-based work that I'm doing, but I absolutely love it, and I lean into it so much. And as I've said before, Fitness Genes, Pier Paolo came on the show a little while ago. Well, it was actually October time now, after Twickenham, when I met him in person. But the results from my DNA testing show why I lean into power a lot. Now, I've learned through the reports that I got from Fitness Genes that if I utilize my power development and lean into that, that will then transfer outside of itself into the rest of it. So for muscular endurance and therefore cardiovascular. If you think about the energy pathways and energy systems, if we can generate a lot more power on this side through ATP, we can go into the glycolytic and therefore into the endurance and the aerobic stuff. So it makes perfect sense, doesn't it? And if you've got that to your advantage, play to it. And I've been doing that. I'm in week 4 of a 7-week cycle. And I'm really enjoying it. I am loving training. I'm in the gym hour and a half, 5 days a week training, and it is purely power and explosivity work. I tend to split it up: upper pull, upper push, lower pull, lower push. So 4 days, and then a 5th day for plyo work, for anything that I feel like I've missed out throughout the week, anything that I can feel I'm lacking in my movement quality. So today, this morning, was my 5th day, and I did volume squats. I did 6 sets of 15 reps on back squat, kept it light, 70 kilos, which is what, 155, I think. I think about that. And was just doing sets of 15 to 20 reps. And I did many sets whilst the high rock session was going on. And I did some overhead work and shoulder fatigue and work and bodybuilding work on my shoulders. And that was it. Hour and a half, done. And I am wrecked. My muscles are fatigued, and I absolutely love that feeling. And I'm really enjoying training at the moment. And that leans into my prep for the open, which will be 2 weeks. So I've got 2 weeks of prep for the open when it comes to it, and I'll utilize that power development for the open. Now, I know my weaknesses. I know the gymnastic volume is going to be my downfall. I know that every year. Do I do anything about it? I try and get stronger, more explosive. But I'm 41 during the open, and I refuse to butterfly. I'm not doing butterfly. So I have to rely on a strong, explosive kip. So for that athletic beat swing, I look at a lot of plyo work, bounding, leaping, glute work, plyos, lats. I'm doing a lot of lat work, a lot of activation for the shoulder girdle. Hopefully that prepares me better for the gymnastic volume work that I'm doing, along with skiing and C2 bike stuff. So it's a nice balance. Is it CrossFit? Probably not. I don't feel like, if I'm being honest, it's not constantly varied functional fitness performed at high intensity. It's not constantly varied. There is a pattern towards it each week. Functional fitness, is it functional? Yes, pretty much everything's functional that I'm doing. And is it high intensity? Absolutely. So it kind of fits in there, which leads me into fueling, which is the title of this show. It's not fueling. That's not the title. The title is fear of carbs. Carbs are fear. So a few of the conversations I've been having this week, actually one currently, let's start with carbs. We had a couple of bits of kind of online conversations going on around the carb debate. This will rage on forever. Now, I think they're arguing different points. I'll be perfectly honest. I think they're arguing different points here. Now, let's use a metaphor here. What is better for cleaner air? Driving a car or walking? Right. Walking, clearly walking, right? There's no exhausts. However, am I better off getting in the car to get to the gym to train or to go to the shops? It's clearly the better option. Milky Hammer. Hello, sir. Blimey, you're in good nick, aren't you? Well done, sir. Fantastic body. Hard work, eh? There's a gold standard that we obviously aim for with everything, right? There's always going to be a gold standard, the optimal way to do something. Now, when it comes to high-end, intense performance, carbohydrates are clearly the easier option and the better option. 6'8", fucking hell. Have you been called a god before? Because you have the frame of a god, sir. You got lovely long hair as well. From what I can see, your picture is like tiny. So I'm bloody hell. And you got a beard. Love it. Don't hide that thing, sir. Get it out as much as you can. I'm talking about your body, not your I mean, you can get that out as well if you want, but not here, please. It's a family show. There's always a gold standard, and I think carbohydrates for fuel for the elite performer, of course, carbohydrates are going to be a fuel that they're going to want to use. You can't slam down a steak mid-workout because I'm in ketosis. It doesn't work like that. However, a lot of us aren't elite athletes. A lot of us aren't at the games. A lot of us aren't bike riding for 5 hours like Mason Mitchell on his bike rides. A lot of us aren't necessarily pushing at that level where we're going to need it. I get called a Dothraki a lot. Yes, being called Clark Kent. Yeah, Clark Kent. Yeah, you're better than Clark Kent. By looks of it, you got a better body than Henry. Got called Thor in the line at Kent. Good, love it. Topic right now though. Yeah, so it's a really good, because there's no right answer. This whole thing depends on where you're at in life, and it's no fucking surprise. It's no surprise. Similar thing to as you get older, you start to lean politically further towards the right side of centre because you get more assets, you've got more skin in the game, you've got more to lose, and therefore you want to protect it, right? As you get older, you probably lean more towards the fat argument, the ketosis and the less carbs basis. And the reason for that is probably because you're thinking more in lines of health and longevity and wanting to live longer and just want to be able to do shit, not at the top end and not perform high end. Now, obviously, the caveat to that is people that are performing higher end for their age in the masters divisions and in sports still in the masters. Clearly, they're going to need that carbohydrate fuel. But to deny the idea that carbohydrates are useful is foolish. They have got a use and they are useful, but are they useful for you? That is a completely separate argument. And I think people on one hand are arguing that carbs are bad, carbs aren't necessary, but then you look at all the graphics and the details coming out about it, and you're not going to be a games winner on fucking ketogenic diet. It's not going to happen. Unfortunately, it won't happen. You're not going to win the Tour de France on a ketogenic diet eating steaks and eggs. It's not going to happen. But we know that. And the thing is, it bleeds down. It's top down. This stuff carries on down. And what it is that people look to the elite for guidance. They look there to see, well, they're doing it, therefore I should be doing it. If you're going to have that argument, you need to do the same with your performance. Are you performing the same as an elite athlete? No, you're fucking not. You can't train more than a couple hours. No, exactly. So this is all down to your needs. It's a needs analysis. You basically have to do a needs analysis, which is what we do in the gym with athletes in S&C. We look at their needs. We build a case for what they need to do, what they need to avoid to do, their development areas, and then we build a program and a protocol around that needs analysis. Now, if you are a nearly 41-year-old that's going doing strength training, you're not going pushing yourself to the nth degree, and you want to live longer because you've started thinking about those questions in your head about longevity and that kind of thing, and you're getting all this advice and you're thinking, do I need carbohydrates in my life? Probably don't need them. Do I need to push myself as hard as I physically can every training session? Probably don't need to do that. Do I want carbohydrates? Hell yeah, I want them. I want to suck up every fucking little ounce of carbohydrate. They taste delicious and they make me feel good at the time. It's brilliant. They give me some kind of comfort and confidence that chowing down on a fucking meaty steak doesn't necessarily do for me. And you have to remember, I've had skin in this game for a long time now. I've done keto diet. I've done carnivore. I've done that. I did it for a year constantly. I know what I'm talking about here. I know the benefits. I know how clean you feel. I know how performance is affected as well. This is all down to your needs, and you cannot argue against someone that has different needs than you do. If they have a totally different repertoire of their day-to-day activity, you can't tell them that they need to do what you do. You can talk from a place of education and understanding, i.e., if you've got someone chowing down on a monstrous amount of carbohydrates each day and they're sedentary and they don't move, then you probably have a point. You probably do have a point about nutrition and the adaptation there, and they can be fat adapted. But if you are talking to a CrossFit Games athlete who is active for 3 to 4 hours a day, that is 26 years old, that is a very, very high-end performer, they've got a shelf life of probably 5 more years, you cannot have the same argument with them as you would with that person in case point A. Doesn't work. So I think this argument is the argument butting heads is kind of redundant. I think people need to understand their particular audience. So when you're talking about being fat adaptive, when you're talking about using carbohydrates, when you're talking about performance against sedentary lifestyle, that which supports exercise and not body fat, when you're talking about these kind of themes, you need to remember who you're talking to. You absolutely have to. That is the only way you're going to get through to the right people that you're trying to go to. There is zero purpose and zero point in trying to change people that have got different needs than you do. And that is what's been apparent to me with all of this discussion. No one ever talks about how spike of insulin after work actually helps with repair. Yeah, growth and intake of certain nutrients. Yeah. So, it, yeah, yeah. The debate will rage on, but I think people look for something that isn't necessarily there. Now, I want to draw a parallel, and I think I've got a parallel here, right? So we have this culture, and we have done for well as long as I can remember, really, of fear. We have this culture of fear where fear is this fuel that people use, and people use it in different ways. So some people use fear as a fuel to go into themselves and to worry, and they're anxious and they fear something, and it kind of gives them this warm blanket of like, I don't want to say victimhood, I want to say protection. They go insular and they hide. That's it. They hide. They hide with fear. It's this blanket where they can just go whoop and fear and hide. Sorry. Other people use fear as a fuel for aggression. And you see this on both sides of the political spectrum. When people are fearful of something, they lash out. And you see that on both of the extreme ends of the political spectrum. Fear is a fuel that you as a person utilize, just like carbohydrates. Now, some people need that fear, and they are the extremes. So the extreme people utilize fear very well for their goals and their needs. But for the most part, for health, for longevity, for this, for state of mind, for getting about your day to day, for moving away from an anxiety, for moving away from that constant state of flight or fight, fear shouldn't be a fuel for you. It shouldn't be something that you actively seek and use. It only leads down a bad path for you. It will only drive you somewhere that you don't need to be. And that state of fear is driven nowadays everywhere you go. And personally, I identified this many moons ago in myself, is that fear isn't a fuel that I should use. I don't do well using fear as fuel. For some, it is essential. For the fringes, it is essential, just like carbohydrates are. But when it comes to the average person, yeah, not all carbs are created equally. So, all right, perfect. All right, this is building on my analogy. A fear of heights, a fear of falling, a fear of loud noises. It's built into us. It's essential to have a fear of heights and loud noises. It's for survival, for protection purposes. We've evolved to have that. It's built into our DNA. We're born with those. Can we learn to adapt around it? Of course we can. If you've worked in a gym for longer than a week, the sounding of a drop in bumper plates and barbell, or a re-rack thing, or whatever it might be, a beeper going off in the gym, you blank it out. You become accustomed to where you're at in your environment. So yeah, the carbohydrate analogy fits there. We're working on it, Adam. We're working. Let's go with this. So just like some people don't want to perform high end, but they want to become fat utilized and have a low carbohydrate diet or zero carbohydrate diet, because they know for longevity and health, that suits them and it works for them. They're not going to be high performers, but they understand that it suits their metabolism and they're going to be healthy for it. A games athlete won't. A Tour de France athlete won't. An Olympic weightlifter won't. If I am not politically charged, if I don't have purpose there, if I'm not someone that is going to change the world, if I'm not someone that's going to be an advocate for this, that, and the other, if I'm not pushing myself to that degree of purpose, should I be really utilizing fear as a fuel from the way that I feel and I go about my life? I don't think I should be. I think I should do everything that I can and live a way to work and operate without the use of fear. Now, that isn't a piece of judgment. And again, just like carbohydrates, I don't judge people for using carbs. That would be ridiculous. Just as I expect people not to judge me for using carbohydrates or not use carbohydrates. Being fat adapted to CrossFit doesn't make any sense. Being fat adapted to high carb makes a lot of sense. Yeah, it's down to your needs and it's down to your training. Look, and being a CrossFitter, you could go fat adapted for 6 months of the year whilst you're doing a certain cycle and then come off it and come on. It's a tool to be used. But I don't think for the everyday person that the utility of fear should be how we go about our daily life. I really don't think it's a decent fuel for us. Now, that's not to say that it's not available as a tool. It's not to say that you're not necessarily going to feel the effects of not using it. But it is a choice. You have to make active choices to step away from environments that are going to flood you with that fear. Because it's no good for the majority of people. It is not good. We do not want that in our system. It leads down very dark paths. We've seen it. How many people do you know that are drenched in fear? And you see it everywhere you go. They're buying more guns. They're buying gated communities. They're online. I'm an ally of whatever. I'm worried about this. Watching social media, not sleeping at night, eating badly because they're worried, getting their kids to act certain ways, like hiding in their shells, isolating themselves from life, not going out because they're worried. We saw it with COVID. Everyone was locked up, worried shitless. Who came out of COVID the best? The people that didn't harbor that fear, the people that didn't take everything surface value and think I should be living in fear. We've seen it is a tool used by governments and systems to get people to comply and to do what they tell them to do. Fear is the ultimate tool. And even though I understand it has a purpose, it is essential for flagging issues. Once we've got that initial thing out of the way, you got to move away from fear. You have to move away from it however you can. If people want to judge you for it, that's fine. If they want to call you apathetic, if they want to call you ignorant, if they want to call you naive, let them. The opinions of others do not dictate to you how you should live your life. You have to live with strength. You have to live with power, not with fear. Fear cannot overwhelm you. It erodes you. It is not good for your cellular health. It detracts. It's a virus, and we pass it on. We pass it on to everyone around us through our language, through our words that we speak, through our actions. People pick up on it, and then they get fear in themselves. If you want to make a change, if you want to be someone that people look to and think, why are they so calm? Why are they so relaxed? Don't they know about this? Of course they do. They choose not to be fearful. And I guess it's the same for people that choose not to use carbohydrates. Did that fit? Did that work? I think it might have been. It's been something I've been thinking about all week. And kind of works for me. That's why I stay out of politics. It's not my jam. It's not where I can make a dent. It's not where I can make an impact. I know it's not for me. If people want to talk politics, please do. We need it. We need people talking about politics. Just like we need the high-end performers using carbohydrates and sugars, just like we need people using this, that, and the other as fuel. Most of us probably don't need it. And to address behaviors, address things in ourselves that are corrupting us, our day-to-day life, affecting our health. We need to address those, and we need to find them out, and we need to realize that it's not for us. Fear is a choice for the most part until you're on the fringes. So why choose fear? Anyway, enough of that. Kids are back at school. Like I said, we put them back in school. Let's just eat real whole foods and not processed shit. About exactly, yeah. So okay, let's roll with that. Okay, let's be fearful of the things that we genuinely do need to be fearful about, not imaginary stuff that we are being told to be fearful about. Processed stuff, processed fear. Ooh, I like that. What would processed fear be? Social media. The media is processed fear. We shouldn't use that. Fear of my boy falling out of a tree. That's real fear. That's Whole Foods fear. But fear of being told that I should stay at home because there's a virus going around that's going to kill everyone I know, and to wear a mask and get jab. That's processed. Oh, I like that, Adam. Well done, sir. You've added to the conversation. Thank you. Hello, Craig. I definitely have your take. I studied this in college, and I think people just don't understand the depth enough sometimes. But it sounds, but no, I know what you mean. It's really hard to talk about this shit without sounding pretentious. But like, if you've got any kind of opinion on this, it's always going to have an element of pretentiousness, and especially if you have a background in understanding and talking about it. People that are on their way up and are trying to get to grips with having an opinion, they may see it as pretentious, but this is a safe space. Don't worry. That's great. Like, media's process fit. Yeah, let's go with that. Milky Hammers 67. Is that because you're 6'7", by the way? How tall did you say you were? 6'8". Oh, you should have been 68. Never mind. I'm sure 6'7". Oh, is that because of 6'7"? Oh, Adam likes it. Good. All right. Cool. I'm glad we got there. Now, here, so. Right. So I did a bit of a deep dive on Carl Jung recently. Oh, you're a teacher. Oh, fuck me. Like, I have insane respect for teachers. You're a 6'8" god-like build machine who is a teacher. Brilliant. Who does CrossFit? What don't you do? What's your downfall, Milky Hammer? What aren't you doing? There's something you're not doing, because you can't be that perfect. Carl Jung, right? So who did I hear talking about this? I heard someone talking about the Yungian mirror. Gym teacher. It is a teacher. You're instructing. That's fine. I'm with you. Yungian mirror. So Carl Jung came up with this thing, and I heard it on a show, a podcast, something. I can't remember what it was. It might have been a Peterson thing. I can't remember. I saw it recently anyway, and they were talking about this. So they were talking about Carl Jung, who's obviously a philosopher and psychologist. He had in Germany, he had an industrialist and wife come to his clinic, and they were talking about his wife was saying he's become inapproachable over the last few years. This is like in 1928 or something like that, or 1908 or something like that. So over a century ago, this guy's come in. He's a factory owner, I think, and his wife was saying he's becoming unapproachable. He argued he was a very approachable man. What this man had come to realize by his own doing is he had developed this way, and you can see how NLP and CBT come out of this, right? Is how he processed the outside world coming in. He realized that he needed to use this information externally coming in to reflect about how he felt about the situation. So he took a step away, and he was looking at it through someone else's eyes about how he was reacting to something, and how is this indicative of how I feel? What can I do with this information? Is it important enough to worry about? Is it something that I can use to my benefit, or how can I reflect on this and be a better person because of it? This industrialist. And because of this, people thought he was unapproachable, including his wife. And so projection and the shadow. Jung argued that we project our own disowned qualities onto others, creating a mirror that reveals our own unrecognized or or suppressed characteristics. Irritation as insight. What triggers us in others is often a direct reflection of our own inner unresolved issues, or the shadow part of our own character. Relationships as mirrors. In romantic love, partners act as mirrors that reflect our own unconscious, including our light and dark sides, dreams and the subconscious. Don't worry about that. The mirror theory. This contemporary understanding, rooted in Jungian psychology, suggests that judgments made about others are actually reflections of ourselves. We're requiring us to take responsibility for our own projections. Now I'm going to read that again. Judgments made about others are actually reflections of ourselves. We're requiring, did it again, us to take responsibility for our own projections. Now, I had a conversation on the base show last week with Farron, who's an insanely intelligent, delightful woman who's having a massive contribution towards coaching development in Europe and beyond. And she posed a question to me that, why do I get frustrated with people being late to class? Why do I get frustrated with people that don't hit movement standards, don't listen to my cues? Why am I getting irritated? Why is that a trigger for me? And it's a fantastic question. And using this Jungian mirror method, I've got to say, through thinking about it, it's a control mechanism for myself. It's that I like to be in control of my surroundings. I don't like not being heard when I'm coaching. Is that because I'm worried that people aren't valuing what I'm saying? Is that a reflection of me being worried that I have no value? See how it works? Taking that accountability, going inward with it. And I think, generally speaking, I think women do that a lot better naturally than men. Men naturally project outward, don't we? It's not my fault. It must be something else. It must be something environment. It must be someone else. Whereas women tend to go internally quite easily, on the general, a lot easier than men tend to do. But it's really got me thinking this week. And like when my kids eat loudly, fuck me, I get really irritated. Why? Why am I getting irritated by carrots being crunched? That shouldn't annoy me. What is that saying about me? Why, what part of that do I need to be accountable toward? Is it a control thing again? Is it that I want to control the environment around me? Is it some kind of trigger around noise? I don't know, but I need to address that, take accountability for it, be a better person for it. Now, there's a lot going on at the moment, clearly, in our world, our microcosm of the world, in CrossFit, in everything that we do. And I think a lot more people, we could all do, including myself, especially myself, we could all do well. We would all do well to use that method for a week, for 1 week. Every step of the way, think, right, okay, why am I getting triggered? Why am I getting annoyed? What, like road rage, for example. If you're getting annoyed in the car when you're on, why am I annoyed that I'm behind someone slow? Is it because I'm late? Is it because I left late on time? Is it because I didn't prepare myself better? What can I do now about that? Should I get angry? Is that going to be productive? No, probably not. What can I do here? So, yeah, this week's been a interesting step, I think, and I'm officially middle aged now. So, you know, well, actually, no, I'm not. If average life expectancy is 84, I've got another year and a bit of my first half. But there we go. Right, Americana. I've written it down from the beginning. That's my writing, by the way. I don't have very neat writing. That says Americana. Anyway, now I'm hoping to have a discussion with Tyler Jenkins in a couple of weeks' time. And in a couple of weeks' time, we're going to have a chat on air, and we're going to talk about this. So I'm not going to go into too much detail about the association with CrossFit and Americana and the sport and CrossFit and blah, 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 blah. And this is a question for you guys, I guess, because you're all American in here, I believe. American/Canadian, I guess. North American. Do you feel that the exported Americana, so not the Americana that you homegrown that you have in America, do you feel the Americana that you've exported around the globe, do you feel that that has shifted since the 90s? So do you feel that, what would you call it? PR, I guess. Do you think that American PR, so the how America is viewed, do you think that has changed since, I don't know, let's go 1996, keep it easy, 30 years? Thinking across the board, think about brands, think about sport, think about people, think about artists, think about politics, think about warfare, think about the whole lot, everything. Has Americana export shifted in your eyes? That's a question that I'm kind of going to be thinking about over the next couple of weeks before I speak to Tyler. I don't have an answer yet. It was only something I thought about when I was talking to him a couple of days ago. It's not something I've given much thought to now, but I think it will go some way to answer the question that he, Spin, and John Young were talking about. And then, of course, there's a few different opinions in comments and stuff like that. But we're all adults here, right? We're adults. We want to talk openly. We want to talk without any particular motive. Like when I have these discussions, it's around just purely for the love of discussion. It's not for gain or for motivation or anything like that. My motivation is the discussion. That's why I did my degree in history. Like there's no, it's all interpretive. It's all subjective. That's what I want. I want to understand different viewpoints. I don't want to thrust mine on people. But like we talked about earlier, I think the fringes need to do that. It's essential, just like the Games athletes, Tour de France, Olympic lifters, just like the people using fast fuels and carbohydrates. There needs to be that. More power to them. But for the majority, I think it's also a good thing that people are fat adapted and have conversation without massive amount of motivation or fear behind it. And as long as people are willing to have that, which is what obviously Charlie Kirk was saying, you know, for however long, we need to be able to talk. As soon as you stop talking, as soon as you start talking with aggression, rage, with objectivity that is thrust down people's throats, people put walls up. They stop talking. It's not how you get anywhere in life. You don't force yourself linguistically upon people. We've got 2 ears and 1 mouth. That's what my gran used to say. Although my granddad only had 1 ear. So anyway, guys, thank you for joining me. We're coming up to 50 minutes and I'm going for a walk, although it's a wee bit rainy and windy today. Now, next week, I am in Berlin, in Deutschland, in Germany, at Coaches Congress, where I'll be meeting up with some incredible people, including Patty V, Michelle Tendre, and of course Henrik and Heather, the Almas, who are phenomenal people. Daniel Chaffee will be there. Baron will be there. Jim Sink will be there. There'll be a huge amount of people. Yash, good to hear and see you, mate. Hope you're doing well. Thank you, sir. I will have all the fun in Berlin. But yeah, I'll be traveling there we're traveling there Friday morning. But I need to get off the island on Thursday because the boats and flights don't work that well on the Friday morning. So it's enough from me for now. I might jump on in the week at some point, but if not, I will jump on from Berlin and have a chat. Before I go out, I'll go early doors on Sunday if I do a show before I go and get on stage on Sunday. So have an amazing Sunday, guys. Enjoy your day, whatever you get up to. I will be on with my boy, John Clark, at 5 p.m. on our new British CrossFit channel, Continuum. If you want to catch us there, go and subscribe to that channel if you want. It is purely for a new audience to get them into the media space to absorb things like this channel, to get them rooted in the media space so they can absorb it all. What a marvelous world that'll be, Jose. Anyway, join us 5 p.m. over there. If not, I will see you probably next Sunday. Milky Hammer, you keep working on that body. Not that you need to. But you clearly just built like a god and just a hunk who's a teacher as well. Have a lovely day, sir. Thanks for joining me. And I will see you all very soon, guys. Have an amazing day.